This is Kuruzu, my homeland, and I'm Kiri. The stories I am going to tell you are the real incidents that happened in this city. A boy named Shu got off the train and Kiri was waiting for him. They met and started walking together. He asked if she had any plans to leave that city because his father was doing weird things these days. Since these spirals or uzumakis had appeared, his father was spending most of his time in the study seeing the uzumaki. His eyes were irritated and started spinning. Ultimately, it was disgusting, and he wanted uzumaki in everything. At the dinner, his mother was scared. Even in the tub he made uzumaki and then took a bath. She was laughing because it was funny for her, but he said it wasn't funny for him, and she'd also not laugh when she'd see it by herself. It was 5 p.m. and the siren made him annoyed, and the whirlwind came and he left. When she went home, she saw Shu's father who was asking for a customized pot with uzumaki. His eyes were scary, and he was telling about the least details, and Kiri's father made a deal to deliver it. Kiri was shocked, and now in the school, she was with Azumi, and she had a crush on every boy. Kiri was telling her about Shu. Azumi's hair moved and Kiri saw the weird thing, but Azumi said it was the mark she got when she was a kid and did a stunt for her love. He asked her and she slipped, but since then he has been her friend, and everyone likes her. Now they were going, and all the boys were looking at Azumi, and Kiri was shocked. Shu came, and when he met with Azumi he was scared. He felt something weird in her and took Kiri with him and asked if Kiri also felt something weird in Azumi. Because he had felt a weird feeling of uzumaki in Azumi, but Kiri was answerless. Now when she reached home her father asked for a favor. He asked her to deliver the pot, and she went to Shu's house. His father opened the door but refused to take it because he had something new. He showed her the uzumaki with his tongue and our girl was scared and she ran away. But another delivery boy had delivered something to him. On the other side Shu met with Azumi, and she asked why he was not attracted to her. He was depressed because of her presence, and he said if she wanted to live then she could run away from this city. She was shocked and her forehead appeared to him, and he started running. His father died, and he took Kiri to the side. He asked if she wanted to know the real reason for his death, and she said she knew he slipped from the stairs. But he said he was lost, and when they were looking for him, they found a weird round box. When they opened it, he was inside. He had become an uzumaki himself. It was terrifying, and suddenly everyone started looking at the sky. Because the smoke from the kiln was making an uzumaki, Shu's mother started screaming because she was seeing her husband in the smoke. She was out of control and her eyes were terrifying. She was transferred to the hospital, and Kiri met with Azumi and her forehead's uzumaki was growing and she ran away. Now in the hospital, his mother's condition was horrible, and she was seeing uzumaki everywhere. On the other side, Azumi saw the passionately obsessed man with her, and he was asking for a date. But she refused him. He said he could do anything, and she got a mood swing. Now Kiri was stressed in class, and suddenly a very slow boy entered the class, and the teacher shouted at him because he was late and wet. But everyone was looking at him with mocking eyes and they made fun of him. Even during playing he was very slow and lazy. So, his friends made fun of him in the changing room and took him to the outside while he was naked. But they were shocked when they saw his back with uzumaki. While in the hospital Shu's mother was empty-headed. Shu took Kiri out and told her about his mother. She was very serious because she was seeing uzumaki everywhere. So, she had cut everything, even her fingerprints. At night Kiri saw Azumi and asked if she was fine. But Azumi said her vision was blurred, and when she took off her hat her eye had an uzumaki, and she lost her eye. Kiri was stressed and Shu was with her man, and she came. He asked for a date because he had completed her wish. But she said he was useless now and took off her hat. There was uzumaki, and she engulfed him. Shu was shocked. Kiri was looking for Azumi and Shu was on the tree, and he showed her the live show. Kiri was shocked, and now the uzumaki was engulfing Azumi and only her print was left there. It was just the beginning. Now again in the class, the lazy boy came, and his back was swollen, and everyone was staring at him. Far in the city, Yuriko was sitting with his girlfriend, and they were scared of the separation because their families were against this relationship. Suddenly she saw a couple of snakes and they were mating. They decided to run away. Now Kiri and her friend were going home together, and she was scared because now there were graves of the people. After Shu's father's death everyone was making graves instead of burning the dead. Her father was scared a lot. Suddenly a boy appeared, and they fell. He was a lover of Kiri, and he wanted her, but her friend yelled at him and told him to stay away. Kiri also told him the same, and now they were leaving, and he told her that he'd make her fall in love with him. Now Kiri saw Yuriko and his girlfriend. Their parents were hurting them, and after that, she met with him. They sat and he told her about his love story and the torture they were having. He also told her that they were leaving this city soon. She was happy for them now, and he told her about the snakes they had seen. Now in the hospital Shu took her out, and Saturday they started talking, and she told him about Yuriko and his love story. Shu showed her the pictures of the incidents happening because of the uzumaki. He suddenly noticed her hair and asked how long they were. At night she also noticed that her hair was grown. Now the next day her friend saw her and asked how she curled her hair, but Kirai had not done anything. So, she went to make braids, but in the class, the hair got open and everyone was shocked to see the snail Noi on the window. He was their classmate but now he was a snail. She went out and decided to have a haircut. But the hair had gone wild, and she wasn't able to get the cut, her hair was hurting, and she wasn't able to do anything. Her family was stressed and suddenly they also got possessed by her hair. Kirai was stressed because everywhere she went people were staring at her. But a girl was jealous, she was exhausted, and people were staring at her, and she was embarrassed. She went to her class fellow and when his parents came, they refused to accept him, and she started watering him after that. Now everyone was following her, and she was sad, she was trying to get rid of it and Shu was also running away from her. The same boy appeared and tried to give her a gift, but she refused, and he decided to suicide. He was hit by a car, and she was scared. The next day, another boy had become a snail, and everyone was scared. Both the snails started matting and it was scary. Kirai's competitor came and asked her to compete with her. Kirai was stressed and now a fight started between them. Everyone was looking at them and the hair was taking their energy. Kirai was doing her best to resist but she was in a pity condition. Suddenly Shu came and tried to help her, but her hair engulfed her, and the other girl thought she succeeded. She started moving and everyone was after her, but she was very weak and stood up with a tower her hair was growing on it. Shu somehow managed to cut her hair, and now Kirai was all free, but her class fellows were lost, and they started looking for them. They found their sir and her friends had matted and laid eggs because snails are heterotrophs. So, their sir started finishing the eggs, they started moving on and now decided to help Yuriko. They were waiting for them, and they came but Yuriko said their parents had seen them now they had to hurry. They were running but it was hard because their parents were after them. Shu and Kirai were helping them, but they got caught. Their parents were about to separate them, but he started rolling around and asked her to do the same. They coiled with each other and their parents tried to separate them, but now it was too late, and they got a new destination. When she went home her brother asked her to come along. They went to sea and the boats were destroyed because of the light. Her brother started running and she was after him. They went into the lighthouse, and she was scared. But for her brother's sake, she also went and started going. She was terrified and tired but saw some dead bodies and finally kids. They told her that her brother was upstairs, and she told them to leave. Now she finally reached up to the top and found him. The light was covered with something, and it was sunset time. She remembered the lens could burn them, so she started running with them. But the light got turned on. Now Kirai was in the hospital and Shu was telling her that he had come to know the spiral in the human body. It was in the ear. When he took her mother to the doctor he had seen it in the anatomical chart. He told her that his mother was so depressed because of that Uzumaki thing that he couldn't tell her about it. Don't know what she could do and suddenly they saw a lot of mosquitoes because these days such a storm of mosquitoes was very common in the city. After all that he was going in an ambulance of the pregnant woman came and she was Keiko. Kirai was shocked to see her. They had to share the room because the rooms in the hospital were booked already. When Kirai was getting her things out she found a weird thing. But Keiko asked to place it on her dressing and at night Keiko's eyes were weird. The next day patient died, and the reason was unknown. It looked like mosquitoes had killed them and sucked their blood. Kirai and Keiko were stressed, and Shu came in. He started killing the mosquito and Keiko was irritated so the nurse took him out. At night Kirai was worried for her and told her to be careful of mosquitoes. But she said she was fine with mosquitoes and her eyes were still weird. When Kirai was sleeping she heard a noise of mosquitoes and stood up. She looked and a lot of pregnant women were going to different wards. When she peeked, they were sucking the blood of patients. Kirai was shocked and the lady saw her. She was after Kirai, but she tried to run but fell and she was about to get attacked when a ward boy came. The ladies attacked him and now he was their food. Another nurse came, and she was also targeted. Now the ladies were full and Kirai tried to escape but they saw her, and she tried to go back but they were after her. Kirai went to her room and tried to protect herself, but Keiko was inside, and she also wanted blood. Suddenly Kirai found the spray and the ladies ran away on the other side. Shu's mother was scared because of an insect. She was scared because she was seeing her husband, and he told her about the Uzumaki in her ears. The next day Kirai tried to explain everything to the doctors, but they didn't believe her and the ladies were happy. Now Shu's mother had told him about everything, but he said it was a nightmare, but she wasn't ready to believe it. So, she went to the doctor's room to check the chart if there was a Uzumaki in her ear and asked the doctor about it but there was no chart. The doctor also denied Uzumaki in the ear and she went back to her room, but she was still seeing Uzumaki and her husband. So, she cut her ear and now she ultimately died. At her funeral day Kirai's dad was looking inside the kiln. The ladies were seeing their babies and Kirai didn't like the food because there were mushrooms with Uzumaki. But the ladies liked the mushrooms a lot. They passed by the nursery and heard the babies talking that they wanted to get back into the womb because it was a warm and good place to live. Suddenly a weird mushroom-like structure appeared from a baby's shirt. Now they went to emergency and there were a lot of mushrooms. But the doctor said it was the placenta of the females because they had grown a lot when they delivered babies. Now they went to the operation room and Keiko had surgery, but her baby was in her womb. She wanted blood, and the doctor passed Carrie. But unfortunately, the doctor got the death, and our couple started running because now it was a mess there. Carrie with her family were discharged from the hospital and started going back to her home. They were happy, and Shu told her that his house was near too many Uzumakis. At night they had her welcome party and Shu was eating like crazy because he had been hungry for a long time. But suddenly he stopped because he had seen Uzumaki on the plates and Carrie's father said it was his father's desired set. Now ladies were cleaning the plates and Shu went to her father and he was still looking inside the kiln. The fire was calling Shu and her father denied it, but Shu broke the kiln and many spirits went out. The place got fired up. Now her father was renovating the rooftop, and she asked him to come inside because it was a scary storm with Uzumaki. They were sitting and the city's view was horrible. Everything was ruined and her brother told her that the Uzumaki was calling her. But she ignored him, and Shu came to her door and took her. He told her that the Uzumaki was calling her and fell in by herself. Now they were trying to run but she got stuck. A girl tried to help her, but the Uzumaki engulfed her and then spit. Because Uzumaki had mistaken her with Kirai, now they were hiding, and she was scared but the Uzumaki was everywhere. They tried to hide inside a gutter, but the Uzumaki took them and now they were safe. They went to a shelter which was a ruined house. But it was still standing, and someone was peeking at her. Her brother said he had heard rumors about this place, and she found it rubbish. Suddenly the bell rang, and the landlord came. He told them about the rumors and cleared the myth. They got relief and at night she woke up because someone was sobbing and she went out. Shu went after her and they went to the old lady. When she looked inside her son was killed, but Carrie didn't say a word about it and went back home. Someone was looking at her again and he was their landlord. His hands had a weird growth and suddenly her brother noticed the wall. It was completely grown and the landlord got in. He ate the mouse, and it was disgusting. Now it was her turn, and she went out. Something hit the landlord and a weird person while jumping appeared. He had a car suspension spring inside him. They were shocked to see it. Now Chia was coming to Karuzu with his colleagues, and they were worried about this city's condition. They entered the city, and her friend screamed because a twister hit them. Now she went out for help and started looking around. She saw only dead bodies and twisters. A chopper was eaten by a twister and now she met with Kirai and her brother. They helped her and now they started moving together. She had told them that she was a reporter and Kirai started telling her about the Uzumaki and the main Uzumaki. Now Kirai took her to the shelter house, and it was too overloaded. Unfortunately, Shu and her family were thrown out and now they were wandering for some shelter. Her father wanted clay to make something, and her mother was trying to relax him, but Shu was disturbed because of Uzumaki and stuff like that. Suddenly they the snails and were shocked to see that they were human sometime. Her brother smelled something nice. So, he followed it, and the bad guys were cooking the snails. He went there and Kirai tried to stand him. But the bad guys saw them and now they tried to flirt with them and the girls were resisting it, so they tried to force her father to come in. But the bad guy made a twister and threw him. He tried to touch her and Kirai also made a twister. But he controlled it and now they started the dirty play. The girls were scared, and the bad guys were about to send them in the giant Uzumaki. But someone saved them, and he was Shu. But he was still frustrated because of this Uzumaki thing. Now a lot of foreigners were going and meeting with them. They told them that they had tried to escape from this city by all their means, but all was wasted, because all the things spiraled. Kirai asked to show them the shelter and her mother was there with his brother. It was dark, whatever, and they said it was a small shelter. They needed a huge one for them, so they started wandering and looking for one, but she told them that the places were filled and now the members were converting into snails. Because they were very slow according to Shu, so they started looking and now they found a house, but people were arguing. They tried to fight but were no use because when they saw inside, everyone was twisted and gathered. It was terrible, so they left that place and their leader told them to also make a shelter for themselves, but they refused to follow him. Because it was rubbish on its own, suddenly they saw some ships, but they were also eaten by the water. At night they were lack of food, and they found snails, so started eating. They also offered it to girls, but they were scared. But when she saw Shu, she also started eating. This is how we all have to do something that we don't want to do. But it's still we can refuse if we don't want to do it. Now they were going, and her brother was injured and converted into the snail. She decided to leave that place before he converts, so started planning and Shu said it was useless. But she had faith, so they started moving to the forest way and they saw them friend who was making a house and he told them good luck with a twister. Now they were going and meeting with their friends. They started going together and one of them became a snail and others started eating it. They were real monsters, so our crew left them and started moving. They saw a tree stump and started looking for the north. But Shu saw his father and was afraid, but Kirai tried to relax him, and they again started moving. They again met with them, and they were looking at her brother. They were hiding him, and he was converting rapidly. When he was finally transformed, they ran with him and came to an end. Kirai told him to go down from the mountain and he refused it, but she forced him. The guys came and they were very bad, so got their end by becoming Uzumaki. When our crew came back to the city it was changed. Kirai asked how this could happen, and Shu said might be our town was always like that. But with evolution, people started living with different styles, but now again this curse has appeared and now we have to face it. Kirai was worried for her parents and Che said they were also with her and they started moving on and they saw many weird things on the way. They also met with their old leader, but he was very old, and they asked for her parents to him. He told them that they were in the center and the renovation was still pending somewhere so he couldn't accompany them. But in reality, he himself had not gone to the center. Their way was not easy. At night he was stressed, and she asked why this curse had again happened. He had no clue about that and the next day Che was tired, but he saw a giant Uzumaki and thought it was a hint. On the way they lost Che and now they opened the door, and this was empty. Finally, they had reached the center. Kirai was excited to go in there, but he grabbed her hand and now they started going downstairs. She saw an Uzumaki man who asked for help, and he was wild. Shu tried to help her and fell inside. She kept on moving and also came to a rough end. Ultimately, she also fell, and now she was in the hell of humanoid Uzumaki. Everyone had collided and the Uzumaki's structure was bright and irritating. She started looking for Shu and saw her parents. They were dead. She started crying and saw Shu. He was frustrated and now he had nothing. She asked what it was, and he told her that in ancient times people had made it. But now these Uzumakis were working on themselves and were ruining everything. Shu had no more stamina, so he asked to do whatever she wanted. But she also had no stamina, so they also coiled and finished themselves. This curse finished here, but humanity, its curse, and our evil sides are still there. No more words, just subscribe to our channel for more updates.